Hi Gemini, welcome to your June 2023 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. Happy birthday. I'm recording this right after the sun has gone into your sign in the third week of May, or actually I guess you'd call it the fourth week of May. So this is covering that period in June. I have an astrology reading. So if you're interested in the transits for June, check out my channel. And what is the last card I'm going to pick? Let's see. I cut the cards. Ooh, start spreading the news. I'm going to have to I always have that as the headline or the title of the video when I get Page of Wands. Okay. Heart of the matter, Seven of Cups. Well, this is a story of Gemini's life sometimes. Indecision, because you have, look at all those cups. It's really about choice and how much choice you have. But sometimes when we have so much choice, it's kind of overwhelming. You know, I heard that in Russia, maybe that was during the Soviet Union more than now, but they only had like two colors, for choices for different things that you could buy. And it's like, in the United States, it's ridiculous sometimes, and people like having choices, but sometimes it's like, especially if you don't really like a lot of the choices. And that's kind of what this card can be about too, is that the choices can be so deceptive. They may look really good, but they might not be. Now, Jupiter has just gone into Taurus, so it's in your 12th house. So it is kind of blowing up the area of your life that has to do with spiritual stuff. And if there's any choices, because I think the Seven of Cups is actually connected to Neptune, which is the ruler of the 12th house in astrology. So I was thinking, okay, now where am I going with that? To be honest with you, I was thinking about Jupiter and Gemini. But now that I think about it, it can have a lot to do with it, because the Seven of Cups can even be that you're really deceiving yourself with some of this. Maybe you're not practicing discernment. But you can just have a lot going on, of course, when the sun is in your sign and that kind of thing. That can feel very heady, because it's your season, and there might be, you're going to have a new moon on the 18th of June. So that may open doors for you in your life in general as well. Maybe you're dating again after a long time, but it's like, are there any frogs in that mix? In the past position, we have the Nine of Wands, and this is a card of having these barriers or boundaries. And Neptune, if the Seven of Cups is in fact connected to Neptune, actually you have the Hangman, which I think, again, is another card. I know that one is connected to Neptune or Pisces. So, Saturn is in Pisces, and Neptune is going retrograde in that 10th house for you, Gemini. So maybe that's kind of hinting at some of the things that are going on where, you're trying to decide, your professional life, and if you're kind of being led down the primrose path, which, means you're being given a rosy picture of something that isn't necessarily so. So if somebody told you, go into this field, there's a lot of opportunities, and now you're like, wait, this isn't really what they said it was. Well, part of that could have been that you believed everything you were told, and maybe that was part of the problem. The Nine of Wands, if this is like relationship related, this can be that you have had your walls up, perhaps. Sometimes that's due to setting boundaries. Maybe you were in a disastrous relationship that you are happy to be done with, and you're looking to date, but you're not quite sure. Maybe you don't trust your judgment in the dating on the dating scene. And you're so afraid that you're going to get burned again. By the way, and I immediately thought of the Gemini that has the moon in Scorpio. Somebody requested that video because apparently I didn't have that one, and so I made it. So if you have that combination, check my channel because I did upload that. It's pretty funny. The higher message is the Three of Wands. This is a card of expansion. And so, yeah, I mean, for some of you, this may be a long exile from that kind of world of relationships and dating, depending on how problematic a particular relationship in the past was for you. You may have said, no way, no how, I am not going to be the same fool twice. But then something has come over you and you're like, you know what, I think I am going to try again. And I feel like, what the heck, right? You have to have faith that life is going to work out in your favor. You can't be too gun shy about these things, even when it feels like it's crazy to trust. It's like, sometimes we play small because we're trying to protect ourselves. And now you're ready to rumble, so to speak. What crosses you is the Four of Pentacles. Another thing too is with work matters. The Seven of Cups could be fielding a lot of job offers. I think that this would be especially true with the creative arts and the healing arts professions, in particular with the cups and the wands. The cups could be both of those, wands, especially creative endeavors. And with the Nine of Wands, you may have kind of been, I think, maybe disillusioned, and you felt the need to kind of, maybe you had trust issues because you've been taken advantage of professionally before. So that's one of the reasons why you're, or even like in a profession that, gave you a lot of burnout. The Four of Pentacles in the challenge position can be that money is a factor. Like maybe you're thinking, I have to make more money in order to be able to do this, and this isn't going to pay enough, and things like that. And I do think that if somebody, especially if they're starting a business, it's ideal if they have the option and they're not like, they don't hate their job, maybe to stay in their job until they feel like they can make that transition gracefully, because otherwise you put so much pressure on yourself to succeed right out of the gate. And another thing with the Four of Pentacles, I was just thinking, like, I mean, I hope nobody takes offense at this, but I always think of Gemini as being kind of like tightwads, not necessarily the most open, with the purse strings. Look at her, she's holding on to it like that. And what you do is you look at the cusp of the second house. Now, with the unequal house system, it's not going to be as clear cut all the time. But the second house for Gemini is Cancer, and Cancer does tend to be very, as a water sign, tends to be very retentive and holding on and cautious, like financially cautious. And you might have personal planets like Venus in Cancer, which Venus can indicate your attitude towards money. Like, what does money mean to you? And with Cancer, it could be like security. So you may feel kind of like stuck because of that for whatever reason. When it comes to love, it could be this sense of, like, for instance, if you have been with someone who maybe in the past wasn't really the right person for you. Maybe they were too, when I say conservative, I'm not talking politically, I'm talking about somebody who is very old fashioned and more traditional. And again, if your Venus or Mars in some cases is in Cancer or Taurus, you might feel like that's the kind of person that you tend to be attracted to, but overall, it might not be the right person for you. So, the kind of people that are like the ones, um, the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sag, are not necessarily stable. And that could be they're not settled down. They don't, there's like this sense of adventure, but they might be as wild as you are. And you may feel like you can't really build a life with somebody like that because you don't know if you're going to be able to afford things because if that person's very free spending and so on and so forth. So it's a very interesting thing, that's what the Four of Pentacles can be, holding on to your pocketbook because you don't, and it can be symbolic of that feeling of security and maybe like needing that grounding. That the four is connected to Saturn, the number four. Pentacles is the earth, so it's really about grounding and feel. And Gemini tends to be ungrounded, they. That's why I always, when I do video or like YouTube videos, I'll depict Gemini as a fairy because it's like this air sign that's very fun and youthful but not necessarily stable, very flitting from one place to the next. What's coming in is a hangman, and this can be a period where it's kind of like a holding pattern of sorts before you feel totally unleashed. Now remember, this is for June. So this is your solar return. So you would think that this would be more conducive to you just kind of doing a lot of stuff. And I think actually it still can be. But I told you before that the hangman is connected to Neptune, and Neptune goes retrograde at the end of June. So it could be a timing card, which is talking about how it impacts you as Neptune goes retrograde in your 10th house, which is the house of career. And what that can do is it can give you a reality check. So the Seven of Cups can put you in that sense of delusion, but the hangman but Neptune reversed can give you that sense of a reality check, and it may at first feel disappointing because maybe you were hoping something was going to pan out and you have to have the faith. Sorry, I'm kind of hitting my leg on here. It's kind of an awkward angle for me, but yeah, and Saturn is also retrograding in June on the 17th, like middle of the month. And that's going to be more, and that's in the 10th house too, because it's in Pisces. So that's going to be more of maybe like restructuring, whatever your plans have been. Neptune retrograde can actually be a good thing because it can keep you from continuing down a road that is not very viable, or maybe having goals that are not very realistic. The outcome is a Page of Wands. This is a card of good news arriving. So that could be, same thing applies to your love life. Maybe you hear from somebody that you had given your number to, and you really like this person. Wands is fire energy, so it's expansive. It feels positive. You may be enthused for what it is that you're hearing, and you're It kind of puts a spring in your step, as you can see in the picture. And this can also be like starting on a passion project, starting on a new relationship with somebody. It's in the fledgling stages, where maybe it's with a fire sign, or that it's just something that feels passionate to you. By the way, I should have said too that the hangman can be this sense of, this time when you just kind of like let go, you surrender to the universe, let go and let God, so that you're able to not have any kind of expectations of what's going to happen. Because if you're thinking, oh my God, is this going to work out? And you're just already worrying about something, then that's not necessarily a good thing, because you're already putting negative energy into it. So you want to be positive. The Page of Wands is very positive. Okay, that's what I have for you, Gemini. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.